The Rotary Club of Cuttack Central, in collaboration with DBSS, have taken special care to conduct this webinar for teachers and school management to face the challenges when the school reopens after the lockdown. To inaugurate this webinar, we are really privileged to have with us our District Governor, RI District 3262, Rotarian Devashish Mishra. At this important juncture, I request DG Devashish Mishra to most graciously inaugurate this highly significant webinar. Thank you.
President Rotary Club of Cuttack Central, Vidyut Kumari Lala, Secretary Satyagopal Parija, and all the members of Rotary Club of Cuttack Central. I am very happy to know that you are having this webinar on training of school authorities for use of different COVID interventions like PPE, masks and other things. I believe this is a very timely intervention by your club, and it is very important because once the schools reopen after the month of July, after government takes a decision, teachers and others should clearly understand how to use PPEs, masks and other COVID materials like sanitizers and all these things, because children, health of children is extremely important in this pandemic. I'm very happy that you are organizing this very, very useful seminar at a critical juncture, and I wish you all the best. Hereby, I declare this webinar open and wish you all the very best. Jai Jagannath.
ଖାଲି ପକେଇଦେ ନା
recording again बंद हो रहा है again बंद होगा
No class today. I'm keeping the phone. Meeting is going on.
To DG Rotarian Devashish Mishra for inaugurating the webinar. Good evening, everybody. This is Biswaranjan Mahanti, Secretary DBSS. Once again, welcome you all to this webinar to train the teacher community of Home City about the signs, symptoms, and prevention of COVID-19. Use of PPE, trauma counseling, disinfection, and sanitization of school premises. Application of SOP and compliance of Epidemic Disease Act, Disaster Management Act, its regulations. We are thankful to you all for registering in this webinar. The first two sessions will be taken by Dr. Mahua Biswas. Dr. Mahua Biswas, MD, Associate Professor of Department of Community Medicine, SCB Medical College, and also a member of State COVID-19 team. A resource person, she will take the first and second session of this webinar. She is a reputed and committed doctor in the field of community medicine. She She has been working very hard to supervise the COVID-19 curative and preventive work in different districts of state of Odisha. We are thankful to you, madam, for sparing your precious time out of your busy schedule. Without taking much of your time, I request our resource person, Dr. Mohua Biswas, to kindly enlighten us on the matter with regard to COVID-19 and do's and don'ts. Dr. Mohua Biswas, please.
Please mute everybody.
मुझे बोलो म्यूट एवरीवन ସେମାନଙ୍କର ହାତ ଅଛି ମତେ ଲାଗୁଛି ହେଲା ଅବେ ଗୋଟେ ମିନିଟ ତମ କଣ ଦେଖୁଛି म्यूट करो
स्मॉल स्क्रीन कर दी हेलो हाँ मैं तो मना नहीं करता ना सर आपने बोले ठीक है
Good evening, everybody. Being a long time, all these months, we have been hearing, talking, thinking about only one thing, that is COVID. Now, it has not only created our social problems, it has also created a lot of problem in our country's economy. Now, what is this COVID-19? Now, CO stands for Corona, VI stands for virus, and D stands for disease. 19 because it was first detected in the year 2019 in Wuhan, that all of us know. Now, what we are going to talk about is the signs and symptoms which we face in during the infection with COVID-19. There is nothing, one thing I want to tell everybody, there is nothing to worry about this COVID-19. This is the first thing. Because this is just like any other viral disease. It comes with fever, it comes with sore throat, cough. I will discuss in details about the symptoms. It is just about a normal viral disease. Whether you treat it or you don't treat it, it gets cured. So first thing, I want to tell everybody, there is nothing to fear. But this disease, what is important is, has collected a lot of stigma around it. And because of this stigma, people are afraid to tell that they are having the problem. They are afraid to even tell that they are having fever. And because of this, the disease is not detected, and this leads to spread. What we are seeing in the news or hear or seeing in a day-to-day life or hearing in a day-to-day life is just the tip of the iceberg. The problem lies is much more in the community. Now, what are the signs and symptoms? The common symptom is fever, cough, sore throat. Then next. Then less common symptoms are aches and pain. They will be body ache or malaise, sometimes diarrhea, headache, loss of taste and smell, rash on the skin, or discoloration of fingers or toes. These are the less common symptoms that we can see in people who are suffering from COVID-19 infection. Serious symptoms may be difficulty in breathing or shortness of breath, chest pain or pressure, a loss of speech and movement. Here I want to tell you one thing. Suppose, let's take it this way, 100 people are infected with COVID-19, right? Out of this 100 people, or 80 people, say 70 to 80 people will be asymptomatic, or they will not require any treatment at all. Around 10% of the people will require some attention, maybe symptomatic treatment. If there is fever, they will need some paracetamol. If there is headache, they will again need some paracetamol. Maybe that much. Only 10% of the people would require hospitalization. Out of that, 1 to 2% will be very severe, leading to your ICU. So there is as such nothing to worry. But we also cannot take it for granted, because nobody would like to be infected with COVID. And not only that, what is important is this disease. No age group is immune to this disease. This much I can tell you. But the people who are more seriously affected are those old people and those with low immunity. So all of us have got old people at home. And these elderly people, this disease may be life-threatening. If young person suffers from this disease, maybe they will get cured without any symptom or maybe without any treatment. Next. Now, how do we screen for this? How do we come to know that a person could be suffering from COVID-19, and we advise them to go and take a test? So students, when they enter, staff, when they enter the school, first, infrared thermometer is being used. This has been used in airport. This has been used in railway stations. And this is the only thing you can use to detect fever. And next, you can ask and look for any symptom. What I feel is, now, because one thing I want to tell you, all of you, that all educational institutions have been shut down. So till now, I myself have seen, say, around 300 to 400 guidelines in every aspect of COVID. Because one thing is, this is a very new virus. It is only 6 months old. So scientists all over the world are trying their best to know about the virus. They know more about the virus, know more about its genomic strain, so that they can come out with its treatment, and also they can come out with its preventive vaccine. Vaccination will take some time to come to the market. Only then we can talk about the vaccine. As of now, there is no treatment or no prevention of this disease. Now, as I have told you earlier, that viral diseases are that disease, whether you treat it or don't treat it, it gets cured by itself because of body immunity. But sometimes only 1 to 2% of those cases who suffers from breathing difficulty may require an ICU for treatment and for symptom, that too for support and symptomatic treatment. So main thing is, when students come, a group of teachers should be assigned a job that every day they should look and ask for any symptom. What they will look? They will look if the child is looking healthy or not, the child is sneezing or not, or and what they will ask? They will ask every morning whether the child, because small children don't tell lies, whether they are coughing or not, or whether they are feeling well or not. This minimum thing should be asked to every student. Next. Now, prevention. All of you know, till now, lot of you have seen, many of you have seen Facebook, WhatsApp, and gathered a lot more knowledge about this COVID. Now, let me tell you, some of the news circulating in Facebook and WhatsApp may be fake, and some are really educative. So one thing, hand washing, hand hygiene. Now I will show you the steps of hand washing. All of you, I am visible to all of you, I suppose. See, there is how you first wash your hand. You apply soap in your hand, then water. This is first step. This is second step. This is third step. This is fourth step. This is fifth, and then this is sixth. After that, you air dry it. No need to wipe your hand in any towel, because if you are washing your hand, say outside in office or somewhere outside your home, the towel you are using may be contaminated. So it's better to air dry your hand. Just simply air dry your hand. So this is the most important aspect, because all of us know COVID virus is a big virus. So this virus, if somebody sneezes or cough, or it doesn't spread by droplet infection. Droplet means it doesn't spread in the aerosol by droplet infection. If this sneezing cough falls somewhere, person with the infected COVID patient has sneezed, it may travel to a long distance and fall and stay over there. And it remains for more than 2 hours in any surface. So if you touch that surface, chances are there that you may get infected, because after touching that surface, suppose you put your hand in your mouth or in your face or nose, then there is chance that you may get infected. So in that case, this hand hygiene is very important. Now, respiratory hygiene, wearing of mask, triple layer mask. You need not run to the medicine store and purchase a surgical mask. Not required. Simple triple layer mask having 3 layers of cloth is just enough. Or you can just fold the hand three times and put it on your nose and mouth. Nowadays, many a days, you may have seen people using masks. What is the proper way of using mask? Suppose this is the mask, I am putting it on. Now, we are not used to putting masks, right? So we face difficulty. Naturally, we are facing difficulty because oxygen decreases and we are facing difficulty of breathing. We don't find it comfortable to speak. So what people do, they wear the mask over here. So don't do it. It is of no use because your nose is exposed. Another way of wearing mask is over here. This is even worse because now that legislation have come that if you don't put on mask, then you would have to pay the fine. So this is the way they put on mask. Remember one thing, this mask is for your protection more than community protection. Because if you are a healthy person putting on mask, going to different places, now that everything will be opened after the lockdown, you will be moving on to the different places. So when you will be moving, there will be many people who will be asymptomatic, who will be symptomatic, you do not know. But if this mask is properly fitted in this manner, it should be just like this. And you should not go on touching your face and mouth quite often, even with this mask. If you have to talk to somebody, you can just put on this mask. I have opened the mask so that I can show you the right way of putting on the mask. And this, if you follow this, then remember that getting infected with COVID will be very less. So this is very important, how you have to put your mask, and make it a point not to touch your mask. Not even when you are talking to somebody. See, I am talking to you with mask. I was talking to you without mask. In both way, I was audible to you. Thinking that if I am putting on mask, I won't be audible. It is very wrong thing. So that is respiratory hygiene has to be maintained. Another one is social distancing. Now, what is social distancing? Social distancing is you at least maintain some distance from a person. What is that sum? It should be around, say, the more distance, the better it is. At least 1 meter distance. Now, main thing, what they emphasize on this social distancing is, do not touch the person. Do not shake hand with the person. Because suppose the person is suffering from the viral disease, this COVID-19 disease, then there is lot of chances that you may get the disease by touching the person, by holding his hand, by shaking his hand, or by hugging him. So this should not be done. So that is called as social distancing. Now avoid contact with high risk group. Now question is, now whom do we call as high risk group? Avoid contact with high risk group means those people who are showing symptoms of respiratory illness. See, previously, all of us should register in our mind that we have to live with this disease. This disease will not leave us. It will remain within us. And so what we have to do, one thing I can tell everybody now, all of us know malaria is there. But are all of us suffering from malaria? No. All of us know dengue is there. Do all of us suffer from dengue? No. All of us know tuberculosis is there. Do all of us suffer from tuberculosis? No. The reason being body immunity, and the reason being we know how to prevent ourselves from the disease. That's why also many people are not being affected by this disease. Similarly, when we know how to prevent COVID-19 disease, I am sure we won't be affected by the disease if we know how to prevent ourselves from the virus. Avoid contact with the high risk group. Now, who are the high risk group? Previously, the definition was of high risk group was different. What was the definition? Definition was those who are coming from hotspot area. Hotspot area means in those areas where maximum number of cases have been detected, or people who are suffering from the disease, or people who have contacted the disease. So these were known as high risk group or migrant laborers. But now as lockdown is open, we should always think one thing in the mind, that person sitting next to me or person standing next to me may be a COVID patient. So putting this into the mind that everyone around us is a potential COVID infected person, we should manage ourselves. That is the only way we can prevent the disease. Next. Now, mode of transmission. I told you this is sneezing. Infected droplet falls. We touch the infected droplets with a hand. That is why it is very important we sanitize our hand or we wash the hand with the soap in the 6 steps that I have shown you. And when we touch any surface of the person, I told you if you shake hand with the infected person or you touch the infected person, the virus is transmitted. And it is mainly transmitted when the person sneezes and the droplet falls. We happen to touch the droplet. It is not necessary a person is wearing a mask, he's sneezing, he sneezed in front of you. You are also wearing a mask. Remember, nothing is going to happen. So you need not worry about that. Next. Now, hand hygiene. I have talked a lot of things about hand hygiene. So wash your hand often with soap and water for 40 seconds, especially after you have been in a public place or after blowing your nose, coughing or sneezing. Use a hand sanitizer, at least 70% alcohol base. Many hand sanitizers are available in the market. You can pick up any of them from a reputed company, from a reputed medicine store. If soap and water not available, cover all the surface of your hand and rub them together until they feel dry. By now, all of us, all of you must have used hand sanitizer. You know, initially the hand sanitizer feels wet in your hand. Then as you go on rubbing, it gets dried. So that is, you can use a hand sanitizer when you don't have soap and water nearby. Say you have been to a public place outside, you had been to a market, maybe early in the morning you had been to the market to fetch some vegetables. Once you come home, you leave the vegetable bag in one place, immediately go and wash your hand with soap and water. It is very, very important. Before you touch or hold any children in your house or anybody in your house, or you touch any article in your house, that's the first thing you will do. Not only that, those places which we often touch, the doorknob, the bell, this has to be cleaned quite often. And you can clean the doorknob and handle with a sanitizer also, wetting it in a cotton swab, you can clean it. Or what you can do, you can spray sodium hypochlorite solution. Sodium hypochlorite solution is nothing very big thing. Sodium hypochlorite solution is just bleaching powder in water. That's it. If you get a bottle of sodium hypochlorite solution in the market, it's fine. If you don't get a bottle of sodium hypochlorite solution, nothing to worry. Just get a bucket of water, take one matchbox, fill the matchbox with bleaching powder, add it in the water. 1 liter of water, you add 1 matchbox. Then stir it, leave it for half an hour. Then take out the liquid, leave the calcium salt below, just take the liquid, and this liquid can be used as a sodium hypochlorite solution. That's it. Now, what you should not do, don't touch your nose, eyes, mouth with unwashed hands. As far as possible, try to avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Touch surface like doorknobs and doorbell, elevator buttons, handles, supportive handles, chair backs, ATM machines. These are all potential source of infection. I am not saying you will not go to an ATM machine. You go to an ATM machine. You take a small bottle of sanitizer in your hand. Once you enter the machine, fetch the money, then you rub your hand. Even currency notes and coins, that is also a very infective source. If you are holding the currency note in your hand, give it to somebody, then you at least sanitize your hand. Make sure that you don't touch any of the surfaces which are infective. Next. Then respiratory hygiene. Respiratory hygiene is, do use a handkerchief or a tissue to cover your face while coughing or sneezing. This will prevent others from infection, and it will also help you that if you are putting on mask, if an infected person is nearby, you will not get the infection. Do not throw the used tissue immediately. Do throw the used tissue immediately in a closed dustbin. Always the tissue or the mask which you are using, it should be thrown in the dustbin. Do cover your sneeze in your arm bent at the upper arm in case you are not carrying a tissue or a handkerchief. Suppose you are at home and some guests have come, then you want to sneeze, you sneeze using your arm this way, covered, so that it doesn't, your droplet doesn't spread for a long way with the person sitting in front of you. Do wash your hand immediately after you have covered, after you have sneezed, covered your mouth and sneezed or coughed. Another thing, let me tell you over here, the mask which you are using, suppose cotton mask, which is available in the market you are using, after 1 day, wash the mask with soap and dry it in the sun, hot sun, then reuse it again. Don't use mask without washing. Once you have used the mask, then you discard it, wash it with soap and water. If it is a disposable mask, then you discard it. If it is a reusable mask, then you wash it with soap and water, dry it in the sun, and then use it. Do not use other ways of covering your face like pallu, sari, chunni, or gamcha. Try to use a mask. Do not spit in open space. This is a very bad thing. You do not spit. If you come across somebody spitting in the open space also, as because you all will be handling children. So if you see some children spitting in the open space, you can impose some fine on them or some punishment. Always use wash basin for spitting. Next. Social distancing. Now stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't go to the market, don't go to the shopping mall, don't go to any public place until and unless it is very necessary. Keep a distance of at least 1 meter. I told you, I explained very well what is social distancing in the previous slide. And do not hold events where people have gathered. Try, please try and not go to the event where many people have gathered, or there is evening meeting, chatting, playing cards. Avoid these places. Do not go to crowded place like market, shopping malls, parties until and unless it is very, very urgent. And do not use public transport. If possible, use your own transport. Next. Now, who are the high-risk group? Elderly people, people who have got heart disease. These are comorbid conditions: heart disease, diabetes, lung disease, kidney disease, cancer, or on any medication with steroids. These people are more at risk of being infected with this infection and getting critical. Pregnant women, as we do not know the impact of disease on pregnancy as of yet, people, because I told you it is a new virus and still research is going on. It is better to take care of a pregnant lady so that he is not exposed to many people who frequent outside and then come home. Next. Now, one thing I can tell you, stay safe is the only message which is a take-home message for you. That means there is, as of now, there is no cure for this disease. only treatment which we give is symptomatic treatment. And because of that, one thing only you can do is put on mask, clean your practice hand hygiene so that you can prevent yourself from getting infected with this disease. Thank you. Any questions you can ask me.
Unmuted କରିଦେଲେ ସି କଲେ unmuted ଆମ voice ବି
Unmute yourself and
You
ask
can
me.
unmute yourself and ask questions. This is a question and answer
Good evening, ma'am.
session. Any questions, please? Go ahead. Please unmute and ask questions.
Am I audible? Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Please.
I'm Jyoti Bhogna. I'm a teacher in DPS Kalinga.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
So I was a little very regarding our children when they join school. It's a little challenging for us teachers to manage children with masks on. So that is one big challenge for us. So it should be a regular affair. Every day we've got to check and we've got to tell them the do's and don'ts every day, because we will be dealing with very small children. I'm teaching the class for 5, 6. So the teacher managing children in the class.
Thank you, ma'am. It's a very valid question.
Yes.
Now, what I want to tell is,
yes, ma'am.
Teachers are those persons who pay tuition. So it is you who have to do the job so perfectly. So, and you have to use your innovative way. How you are going to maintain these two things. One, you are putting on mask and hand hygiene of these small children. It all depends on you. You can move even mountains. So this is nothing. And one thing is, use your own ways by say giving some incentives or giving some appreciation to those people who don't remove the mask from their face. I think this is one of the way you can handle people much more than me. Since you are a teacher, you can find out some innovative way how you can maintain this.
Yes, that is exactly the reason why I'm here present, wanting to learn much more from you and implementing those ideas. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Please ask if you have any questions.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Ma'am, I'm speaking from Bhubaneswar, Stuart. Hello.
Yes,
Please
yes.
go ahead with your question.
You are audible.
Yes, ma'am. I'm speaking from Bhubaneswar, Stuart. I want to know, suppose a child is already infected and he has taken paracetamol at home. Then can the thermal scanner at school help us to detect his temperature?
No, that's why I told you, when we will be doing screening, sir, you appoint in rotation basis some teachers who are going to screen every time. In the next time, we are going to discuss about the guidelines. This guidelines has been prepared by UNICEF and I am going to discuss with you. Now the thing is that it is quite possible that they will take paracetamol and come to the school. So you won't know they are having fever or not. But when you will ask the child, are you healthy? Why are you taking any medicine? The child will definitely tell the truth. So from there, you can know whether the child is having fever and not. And you can also see and assess whether a child is looking sick or not. This is the only way, because it is quite possible that in spite of teachers knowing everything, in spite of parents knowing everything, in spite of so much of counseling and so much of awareness created, but still they would be sending their children with paracetamol in the fear that they will be missing the classes.
Thank
Any
you,
more
ma'am.
question, please?
Thank you, ma'am.
Anybody else can ask? Otherwise, we'll go to the next session. Anybody has any other questions? The floor is open. You can ask. That means we all are convinced with what Madam told, and we are going to practice that. Okay. Okay.
Yes. So now we come to the, am I audible to everybody? Must be audible. Okay. So now we come to the next part of the presentation. That's the guideline for prevention and control of COVID infection in school. All of you are aware that all the educational institutions have been shut down due to this COVID infection long back. And since the education institution are not open till now, so as of now, Government of India or the state government have not published any guideline for control and prevention of COVID infection in school. As soon as the school will be opening and the time will nearby, all of you will get guidelines. But this guideline which I am going to share with you is a generalized guideline which has been prepared by the UNICEF for all children and school teachers all over the world. Next. Now, basic principle is sick students and staff should not come to the school. The school should enforce regular hand washing. School should provide water, sanitation, and waste management facility. School should promote social distancing. Now we'll see what it is. Sick student and staff should not come to the school. You should mention to every parents that they should not send the sick student to the school. In case you should use different school teachers, and school should use their own rule and regulation to protect themselves and to protect the students. They should tell, if possible, they will tell the teachers, the students, parents of the students, that in case they send the sick children to the school and the children are found to be sick, then there are chances that maybe school will take strict action against their parents or their student. So no harm. If somebody is sick, can always stay at home. Same thing holds good with staff. This thing should be clearly told to everybody. School should enforce regular hand washing with soap and water, because after every, in front of every class, there should be a facility for washing hand in the entry and exit point, so that when the students enter the school and in the class, they wash their hand properly and then only enter. School should provide water sanitation and waste management facility. If no, it is very good that if the school area is sprayed with this disinfectant, that is sodium hypochlorite solution, twice a day. If it is not possible, then at least once in a day. And school should promote social distancing. Previously, the student used to say, two students used to sit in the same table or in the same desk. Now it will be better if one student is used to sit in one chair and table instead of two students sharing the same table. Next. Ensure safe school operation. Work with officials. Guarantee that school should not be used as a shelter for treatment or shelter for anything. Treatment unit, or it should not be used as a shelter, or it should not be used as a temporary medical camp. School premises should not be given at a lease or for one day or even for some hours for any other occasion. It should be very much specific that the school field, school area should not be used for any other purpose. Cancelling any community events, meeting that usually takes place in the school premises. In many places, since the school takes place in the morning, so maybe in the evening or in the holidays, the school premises is used maybe for parking or maybe for meeting or maybe for any get-together, which should not be used. Kindly discourage any sort of practice which is going on in the school. As of now, it should not be done. Hand washing station with soap and water, if possible, place a hand sanitizer in each classroom at the entrance and exit and near lunchroom and toilet. This is very, very important. And use your housekeeping staff to see that the students are using it. They are practically using it. And one teacher you can employ or one teacher on rotation basis can supervise the activity of the housekeeping staff. Cleaning and disinfecting of the school building. This is very important. I told you sodium hypochlorite solution can be sprayed in the school building premises and those areas which are often touched by the children, door knobs, handles, railings, these should be cleaned off and after every period it should be cleaned. If possible, disinfection of the school should be done twice a day. If not possible, then at least once in a day. It is very, very important. Next, implementing social distancing practices. Cancel assemblies. Prayer meetings can be done when we were in school. Mainly in the assemblies, prayers used to be held. Prayer meeting can be done by the concerned teacher in the class itself. Sports games and other events that create crowded condition should be stopped, should be discouraged, and whenever possible, create space for children desks so that at least 1 meter apart. As I told you in the beginning, that one table, if suppose one table was shared by 2 children, it should be 1 table and 1 children. And if it was 1 table and 1 child, then they should be placed at least 1 meter apart. Teaching and model creating space, avoid unnecessary touching. Wherever, when we were teaching when you were teaching in place using models and the people were given hands-on training. So in that case, try and avoid many people handling the same thing. Next. Establish procedure for students or staff becoming unwell. Plan ahead with the local authorities, school health staff, and update emergency contact list. It is very important that if any of your staff or your students become ill, whom to contact. So this emergency contact list should be updated, taking into consideration the local authorities. Ensure the procedure of separating sick students and staff from those who are well without creating any stigma. Now I have told you that already the disease has gathered a lot of stigma around it. So remember one thing, it is only a viral infection. And a person who is suffering from this viral infection is not a criminal. So that person should not be called as a COVID child, COVID student, COVID parents. This is a very, very wrong thing. COVID means, suppose a staff has become ill. The next day when he or she comes to the school, then children start telling them as COVID miss. So this should not occur. This should not happen. So ensure that separating sick students and staff from those who are well without creating any stigma. They should not please try and see that no stigma is attached to this disease. inform parents. Many parents who leave their student in the school are not informed properly. Not only that, reading the wrong messages in the WhatsApp and Facebook, they become more apprehensive and more tensed up. By day-to-day basis, watching the media, watching the TV, this many deaths, this many cases. Now, how many people are following the cases of malaria? How many people are following the cases of dengue? Aren't people dying with dengue? Are not people dying with malaria? But people are not following. Every day, everybody is following. How many COVID did? How many new cases? The reason being, this disease has attached so much of stigma around it that it is creating tension. I tell you, many people are affected more with the news than with the COVID disease itself, particularly parents when they have to leave their students in the school. Students, staff may need to be referred directly to the health facility or sent home if they are found ill. Share procedure with staff, parents, and student ahead of time. Now, one thing, let me tell you, if maybe the student was asymptomatic, you have also not found out, the parents also didn't know, but after coming to the school, the student have become ill. Don't worry, no, nothing to panic. Simply counsel the parents, tell them what you know about the disease and send the student home. Next. You can even, with the permission of the parents, you can also take them to the health center. Follow guidelines from national health and educational authorities. I am sure since Government of India and Government of Orissa is giving guidelines for everything, once before the school opens, all guidelines will come to you. Share information which you already know and which you know is right, which you know it is important for the parents. In the parents teachers meeting, you share information with them. If someone at home is being diagnosed with COVID-19, it is better that the child does not come to the school. Many schools have got very strict rules and regulation regarding absenteeism. This has to be taken care of. It should be seen that why they are being absent and compare the absenteeism with the other absenteeism during that particular time of the year. Utilize parents, teachers, committees and other mechanisms to promote information sharing. Also be sure to address children's questions and concern. Many parents and children are very much concerned about the disease. They are not only concerned, they are apprehensive also. So it is the duty of the teachers to address these issues. Development of child-friendly materials such as posters which can be placed on the notice board, in the restroom and other centrally location where the students can read them. Next. Adapt school policy. Develop a flexible attendance and sick leave policy. As I told you, many children will come to the school thinking that so many days they have not been in school, so many days they were online classes. So in this case, I would tell you, before we had been strict about 100% attendance, at least 90% attendance to qualify in the exam. But now it will be encourage students and staff to stay at home when they are sick and when they are caring for the sick family member who has been diagnosed with COVID-19. And if you become strict, one thing let me tell you, if you become strict, people will try to hide the disease. Once the disease has been hidden, the risk of spreading is more. The risk of those people infecting other people is more. That's why you encourage absenteeism. Suppose the student stays at home, prepare alternative method of teaching the student by asking some of the teachers to do online classes. maybe that will encourage them to stay at home when they are ill, and students will not take paracetamol and come to the school. Discourage the use of perfect attendance and awards and incentives. Rather than this, I can tell you that you use this incentives and awards. Maybe if somebody don't continuously uses the mask without removing the mask throughout the day, maybe that person will be given some applause or some incentives for which they will be happy. Identify critical job function and position and plan for alternative coverage by cross-training staff. Now, it is very important that the staff has to be trained, and these incentives of not removing, remember, if a teacher or the staff comes to the room or in the school without wearing a mask or by removing the mask, remember the children will follow what they see. So this holds good even for the staff. Plan for possible academic calendar changes, particularly in relation to break and examination. So this all you have to do, because already so many days have been lost. So definitely there will be possible academic calendar changes. Different schools having their own policies will have to make it. Next. Monitor school attendance. Implement school absenteeism monitoring system to track students and staff absent and compare against usual absenteeism practice at the school. Alert school health authority about the large increase in student and staff absenteeism due to respiratory illness. It is very important that you have to monitor why the student or the staff is absent, and if it is due to respiratory illness, then the health authority have to be alerted. Let me tell you, all this thing has to be done in a very, very nice, light-headed manner, without being tensed up, without attaching any social stigma to it. Next. Next. Checklist. I think the previous slide. Next. Plan for, yes, next. Plan for continuity of learning in case of absenteeism, sick leave, or temporary school closure, and support continuity assess to quality of education. You can take online classes and ensure that everybody is who is on sick leave or absent or temporary school during temporary school closure, like online classes are going on. So, online classes may be given to those students. Assign reading and exercise for home study. Assign teacher to conduct remote daily or weekly follow-up of students. Review development of accelerated educational strategies. Next. You can use a checklist. Ensure educational facilities are not being used for any other educational purpose. This may be one of the points. Promote and demonstrate regular hand washing and positive hand hygiene behavior. Clean and disinfect school buildings. Increase air flows and ventilation. Ensure safe preparation services of food time allowed. For cleaning and disinfectant between the shift. Ensure thrush has been removed daily and disposed of surely. Now, this thrush should be disposed of twice a day, and if possible, twice a day, if not at least once a day. Now, the food should be served and in a clean manner wherever the food is being served. So the teacher has to ensure, and it has to be looked into properly, that it is all been done in a very hygienic way, and disinfect between the shift. Now, the key messages which we take home messages are: COVID-19 is a new virus and we are still learning about how it affects children. Now, the latest facts, understanding basic information about coronavirus disease. You know about the latest fact, understand the basic fact, but be aware of fake information, myths that circulates from word of mouth or online. Recognize the symptom of COVID-19. You as teachers, if you hear some news or if some myth or misconception which has been circulating in the social media, try to get access to some person who are dealing with the COVID-19, maybe a doctor or maybe some health authority who can tell you correctly what it is about. Keep children in school when healthy. Teach children good hand and respiratory hygiene steps. Help children cope with stress. Children may respond to stress in a different way. Create opportunities for children to play and relax. Let me tell you, next. Let me tell you, this is not a big issue. It's just a viral disease. It will just go away. If it is even staying with us, we have got no problem. All of us will not suffer from it. And those people who are suffering will recover very soon. And you as teachers can move mountains. This is only a virus. Next. Now, if you have any questions.
Yeah, now this is the question answer session. Please ask.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yourself and ask any questions you have.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, please. Louder, please.
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm speaking from Bhubaneswar, Stuart.
Yeah, go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Ma'am, I want to ask two questions. One is, in place of bleaching, can Dettol be used as disinfectant?
Yes, Dettol is a very good disinfectant. And rather, Dettol is not called as a disinfectant, it is called an antiseptic. Dettol is an antiseptic property. If instead of bleaching, you can use Dettol, but this bleaching got more of antiviral property. Dettol can also be used, and not only this bleaching has got an antiviral property. Moreover, bleaching is less costlier than that of Dettol. When you think of large-scale managing, bleaching is cheaper compared to Dettol. So if you're using Dettol, it's all right.
Anybody else?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am. I'm from St. Joseph's Girls High School, Cuttack. My name is Rashmi Tripathi. Actually, I wanted to ask, when we have these different public examination, should we have the examination during this period?
ICSE and CBSE, ma'am, as I
not ICSE, not ICSE, CBSE, or the examinations we have in the school.
Public commission and those examination, railways and all. Different public examinations, entrance tests.
Yes, entrance test. That is what she is.
That is what you are asking, ma'am.
She is talking about the school exams.
School exams?
Rashmi Tripathi, please unmute yourself. Yeah, please. Yeah.
I have unmuted myself.
Yeah,
I am talking about the different public examinations. Is it safe to have them in the school?
No, if it is your school examination, ma'am, then
Not
you
school.
conduct it in school.
Not
But
school.
if it is not your school examination concerning the children of your school, it is better to avoid during this time.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Please, anybody else?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm again from Bhubaneswar, Stuart, and I wanted to ask another question. During now rainy season and winter season are about to come, and normally most of the children, they suffer from viral infections. So they have common cold, flu, coughing, sneezing, and that time also their parents send them to school. Suppose with the thermal scanner we detect that someone has cold or flu or fever. So at that time the parents say no, it's a normal fever, normal cold. Shall we allow the child into a school at that time?
Sir, one thing I want to tell you, as of now, this COVID is going on, we are all concerning and discussing about COVID, and this COVID also has flu-like symptoms. So we do, unless tested, we do not know which is a common cold and which is COVID. So in that aspect, if any student are suffering from this cold and infection, and their parents come and tell it is common cold, you first ask them to get tested, and even if they are tested negative, request the parents to keep the child at home till the child is fully well, and then only the child can come to the school. Don't take any steps, don't take any risk in this case, because all you know, The child may be asymptomatic for the first test and may become symptomatic in the next test. That is also possible. So don't take risk. Anybody with symptoms should be discouraged to come to the school. Moreover, you can assure the parents, if they don't come to the school, nothing is going to happen. No strict action will be taken against them. They will appear the exam as usual. And if they do not attend the classes, then classes will be given on online. You can assure the parents, but don't allow
Thank
those
you, ma'am.
students in those.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Yeah, anybody else, please be fast. Ma'am is talking from the last 1 hour. Please be fast. If you have any question, we can take 2-3 more questions.
Okay, then stay healthy, stay safe.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am, for taking this to lively sessions, and we have also give information about many things. Thank you very much from Rotary Club of on behalf of Rotary Club of Cuttack Central and DBSS. We thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time and for the information which you have given, and we are going to act according to that. Thanks a lot. Yeah, now we will go to our third session. Yeah, our third session will be taken by Mrs. Diptimoi Khuntia. And Mrs. Khuntia is the NCC officer of Stuart School, Bhubaneswar. She is a committed, disciplined, and dedicated activist for prevention of COVID-19. And she has completed her certificate course on COVID-19 PPE. We are thankful to you, ma'am, for agreeing to give the resource, be the resource person for the third session in the webinar. Now, without wasting any time, I request Mrs. Diptimoi Khuntia to kindly talk to the participants on the use of PPT and demonstrate online learning of PPE through Diksha app and Government of India. Now it's over to Mrs. Diptimoi Khuntia.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Third Officer Diptimoi. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Third Officer Diptimoi is here to share some of my ideas on how to stay protected and protective equipment to be used in school to stay safe from COVID-19 virus. Regarding science, systems, and management of COVID-19 infection, Madam has already said. I will not touch that area. In short, I'll say this is a new strain of coronavirus that has not been previously identified in human. Till yet, no medicines or vaccines is available. We need to stay alert, aware, updated, and should have self-control in order to stay protected and avoid infecting others in our community and workplace. Few slides will speak better of my ideas. How to practice safe in the community. Next slide. In order to remain protected and check spreading of any disease, we must follow hand hygiene and respiratory hygiene. Next slide. To maintain hand hygiene, Madam has already discussed, we should wash our hands with soap and water minimum for 40 seconds, and we can use alcohol-based hand sanitizer. We should not touch our nose, mouth, or any other part of our face. Next. In order to maintain respiratory hygiene, you should use a handkerchief or a tissue to cover your face while coughing or sneezing, and immediately throw the used tissue in the closed dustbin. We should not use other ways of covering your face and we should not spit in open. Next. From frontline worker to normal people need to use personal protective equipment PPE to remain protected against health or safety risks at work. It can include items such as gowns, gloves, goggles, safety footwear, respiratory protective equipment RPE, face shield, etc. As you can see on your screen, gown covers whole body and hand, which is used by healthcare workers who are dealing directly with patients. Gloves need to protect hands from getting in touch with infected objects. Goggles give a layer of protection to eyes, which is one of the entry route of virus. Masks cover nose and mouth, which are entry route of virus. Different types of masks are available. N95 mask filters out 95% or more of smaller particles in the air. Surgical mask shield against the large droplets that come from a sick person's cough or sneeze. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, does not recommend that general public wear N95 respirator. Those are to be reserved for healthcare workers and other medical first responders. CDC recommends cloth masks, preferably using at least 2-layer material for general public. Face shields are more comfortable and more effective due to COVID-19 as it covers eye, nose, and mouth. Next slide. N95 mask mostly used by frontline workers. In case you use it, you must ensure that it fits around the face in order to work. After wearing N95 mask, always do a field check on positive field check and negative field check. Next, mask management. Next, use mask when you are going to pass into the public area, when you are feeling sick, when you are feeling from cough or fever, when you are visiting a healthcare facility, when you are caring for an ill person. Always be sure that mask always cover your nose and mouth, and either side of the mask should be fit. There should be no gap on the either side of the mask. After removing the mask, dispose single-use mask. Discard single-use mask and remove the string of the mask. Then mask must be washed with soapy water. In school settings, masks, gloves, goggles, footwear, and face shields may be used as PPE by students and staff. Now, we'll learn complete donning of PPE, personal protective equipment, through a video. Please wait. This video I'm running through Diksha app. Diksha app is Government of India's online training platform. You can download this app from Play Store, register yourself, and can get online lab test training or more related videos on it. If you face any problem running the app, then please contact me. Now please watch this video.
This is a video on wearing of personal protective equipment by healthcare workers caring for COVID-19 patients.
The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. This is war as far as intensive care personnel are concerned. We are demonstrating today the basic donning and doffing procedures for personal protective equipment, and I would urge all intensive care personnel to practice these procedures. By the time your first COVID patients come, you're prepared and ready to follow these protocols so that you can protect yourself against contracting the illness.
The coronavirus, which causes COVID-19, is transmitted through large respiratory droplets and by contact transmission. It is transmitted when infected droplets come in contact with the eye, nose, or mouth. Wearing personal protective equipment and maintaining proper hand hygiene is essential to prevent transmission of the virus to healthcare workers. Respiratory protection is carried out using a 3-layer face mask or N95 respirator. Eye protection is done with goggles and face shield. Body protection includes long-sleeved fluid-resistant gown, boot cover, and hood, and hands are protected with gloves. The PPE does not require to be sterile. In this video, Kapil and Deepika will take us through the proper steps. Any leaks from the mask by placing your cupped hands over the mask and under it. Check that the N95 respirator moves in and out with every breath. This ensures that there are no leaks. Wear the hood over the head and let it fall over your shoulders. The trained observer adjusts the elastic over the face to just above the eyebrows and just below the N95 mask. The hood is smoothened over the shoulders to ensure that there are no gaps. Goggles should be compatible with the N95 respirator to ensure a tight fit. The trained observer ensures that no skin over the face is exposed. A visor or face shield may be worn over the goggles for extra protection. Wear gloves over both hands. Ensure that the gloves are pulled tightly over the sleeve of the gown. Unsterile gloves are sufficient for routine care of patients. The final and most vital step is verification of proper donning by the trained observer. The individual takes a 360-degree turn and the observer checks the PPE to ensure proper donning. The process of donning is time-consuming and should be performed deliberately in a calm and patient manner. Only persons who have donned the PPE in a correct manner will enter the patient care area. Remember that there are no compromises when it comes to donning the PPE. The PPE must be donned at all times when entering the patient care areas. After proper donning of the PPE, you are now ready to enter.
Hope you learned complete donning of PPE. I request everyone to please download Diksha app from Google Play Store for latest online training. Just register yourself. It is a self-learning app. Just register yourself and it will show you latest online training on use of PPE. If you face managing in this app, then please you can contact me. So use your PPE properly, carefully, stay protected. Thank you.
ये बच्चा कौन है?
Yeah. If anybody has any questions, you can ask. Any question regarding this session, you can. Yeah, this is the question and answer session. Please, if you have any question.
So this is only for the health worker because as this is not helpful for the teachers.
Yes, yes, madam. It can be helpful for teachers. Complete PPE kit. What you say PPE kit, that is for healthcare workers. PPE is, as the name suggests, personal protective equipment. Mask can be personal protective equipment for
the mask we can use in the school, but the uniform which was shown in the screen, that we cannot wear it every day.
That is every day. Gloves you can use, face shield you can use, goggles you can use, footwear also you can use. That are the PPE used in school setting that can be used in school setting.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay. Thank you very much, madam, for talking about giving us the information about the PPE kit, everything. And from Rotary Club of Cuttack Central and DBSS Cuttack, we express our heartfelt thanks for your contribution to this webinar. Today's session we are closing up here. Thank you everyone for your participation and patience hearing and hearing. Tomorrow we are going to have 3 more sessions, that is more of the practical things. That is, the session will be on trauma counseling, because students are there in their house and they will be coming up and they will be having a lot of questions in their mind, and parents also. So how to deal with that, counseling the students, and then disinfection and sanitization of the school premises. This will be more on a practical basis. We will be showing you how these things has been done and what the school is going to do afterwards when the school will reopen. Application of SOP and compliance of Epidemic Disease Act and Disaster Management Act and regulations. And I hope tomorrow we expect more questions, because we'll be going more practically, because this counseling session will be there, and also we'll be hearing from the Cuttack Municipality Deputy Commissioner on the sanitization. She is in charge of sanitization, and also how the disinfection and sanitization of the school premises is going on, and about all these things. So thank you for
Excuse
the
me,
hearing. And yeah,
excuse
please.
me.
Yes,
So
yes.
we would like to have more of how to deal with children.
Yes, that's where tomorrow we'll be dealing with that, how to deal with the children. Yeah, we'll have this counseling and how you should deal with the children, that we are going to have tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. That's why I'm telling tomorrow we'll have more practical things and we'll be having more questions tomorrow. Yeah. If you have any questions, you can come up, because at the end you will be dealing with the students. So we'll be directly in contact with the students. So we expect more questions from your end. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Surely, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Tomorrow,
Thank you very much.
55.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, all of you, and have a great day.
Thank
Good
you,
night,
sir.
all of you.
Good night. Thank you.
It was very informative.
Stay safe.
Thanks a lot for the meeting, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
So now we can leave. Now we can leave though.
Yes.